Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the regular scheduled Taber Town Council meeting for August 21st, 2023. I will call the meeting in order, please, and ask for the adoption of the agenda. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And just for the record, Councillor Sorensen is unable to attend today's meeting. Also, on to public hearings. We don't have a public hearing today. Adoption of the minutes, item 4.1 minutes, regular meeting of council, July 17th, 2023. Mr. Tebow.
Minute turn in front of council for your consideration.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising, concerns? So I'm prepared to make that motion. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council adopts the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on July 17th, 2023 as presented.
Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. No business arising. Bylaws. Item 6.1. Proposed Taber Municipal Police Commission Bylaw 15-2023. Mr. Tebow.
I believe we have Mr. John McDonald who's going to come and speak to the Police Commission bylaw, and we are looking for potentially all 3 readings this afternoon.
All right, thank you. Mr. McDonald, welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor and Council, for having me here today. As you're aware, we had this past year, we had the Minister of Safety, Deputy Premier now, passed the Police Act. And with that Police Act, they've allowed appointments of members to the commission. So after we had reviewed the bylaws and the policy manual, we had to go back and do that again to accompany, to make sure that we made room for the 2 members that are going to be appointed to our commission. So, and then once the 1 member was appointed, it pushed it even faster to make sure that we get this done and get it done in a time manner that we could allow the process to follow through with. And so that's why I'm here today for that, and answer any questions anybody has.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? Councillor Bruin?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question is this a forever deal? They're going to always have their provincial appointees on our police commission? Or what was it? Do you know anything about the vetting process, how these people were appointed, who put their names forward and whatnot?
There's a lot of stories that are floating around, but as I understand from the Deputy Premier that I talked to this weekend, he had a process in place and they were selected. I just, again, I don't know if there's I know we're going to expect 1 more to be appointed. I know that's going to be done shortly.
Was there any consultation with police commissions about these appointments?
No, there was none. And it varies. In Lacombe, it was an outgoing MLA and was given the honor to pick one. And that's how they did that there.
So it's like a Senate position?
That's how it's been described, yes.
Yeah, I just don't see the reasoning for it, and I wish we'd had more information about it before we pass the motion to proceed with this.
Well, it's in the act now.
Yeah.
That's the tough part about this. There should have, could have, would have had more consultation before that. Would have been nice. My initial talks with the Deputy Premier was to have him to sit down with the mayor and go over what the possibilities would be and how he could best fit that in the town if that's what they choose to do. But Mike Ellis did point out to me that he expects these appointees to report to him if there's or commissions to use those appointees to take their concerns back to the minister, have their voice heard right at the Deputy Premier's table. So that's new to me. I was not aware of that possibility.
Because we already have a process for that, do we
That's
not?
right. That's
So
called the chair. Yeah.
I really wish we had some more explanation as to why this happened.
I would say there's a lot that think that it was a way to streamline the process for a provincial police force, possibility.
Which they've now decided they don't want.
Yeah. So
No, it seems senseless. Is this a paid position on the police commission by the government, or?
it would be honorarium, not by the government. The honorarium would be by our commission. Yes,
Yeah, so we'll have to pay.
that's correct.
very interesting.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. McDonald, for your presentation. And we all know, of course, by this time it's a reality. Like you said, it's in the act, it's legislated, it's done, right?
That's right.
So no use dragging dead cows out of a ditch, I believe. But at the same time, I guess I share some sentiment with Council Bruin about the procedure that did happen or did not happen. My question to you is, though, you said you expect the second member to be appointed shortly. Does that mean one of the citizen members of the commission would have to resign to take that spot, or?
No, it'll be a citizen of the town of Tabor selected by the government.
Yes, I understand that, sir, but at the present time, don't you have a full slate of commissioners right now?
So that's part of the change in the bylaws, that we're going from 7 to 9. So we've made the room for that second appointee, and that would make a total of 9. So there's always an odd number for vote, but that's what the changes were.
Thank you, Mr. McDonald. My personal view on that is to increase the commission from 7 to 9. I think it's a travesty, but that's just the way it is, I guess.
I think our minutes reflect a similar, from the commission, our minutes reflect that as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Just to clarify, Mr. McDonald, I think there's still some gray area about how that individual is picked. I guess there's a process, and I know yourself and commission members have asked that question. Does that ever come out as far as how
I
that
don't
came to be,
know.
how it was advertised? Or?
I know the government vetted their appointees, I know that.
Right.
I don't know if there's any written process how to select them
I
at
see,
all.
okay.
I've not seen it. The election was called, 2 days later, I had a fax from the premier or the deputy premier saying, here's your appointee.
I see, right, okay.
That's what happened.
All right, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Beckering?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Prepare to make a motion.
All right,
The council gives first reading to Tabor Municipal Policing Commission Bylaw 15-2023.
right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Someone prepared to make the second required motion? Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council give second reading to the Tabor Municipal Police Commission bylaw 15-2023.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Someone prepared to make the third required motion? Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council unanimously agrees to proceed to third and final reading of the Tabor Municipal Police Commission bylaw 15-2023.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. Someone prepared to make the fourth required motion? Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council gives third and final reading to the Tabor Municipal Police Commission bylaw 15-2023.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you, Mr. McDonald. All right, on to action items, item 7, item 7.1, proposed changes to municipal police commission policy manual. Mr. Tebow.
Mr. McDonald, I think you're up again right away. And I believe this is in support of the previous bylaw. This is the update to the commission policy manual.
So as you can imagine, when you make one change, there's other changes that have to be made to accommodate all those other changes. And so our manual, and we have terrific people working on this, and I already went through this with a fine-tooth comb, and then we had to sit down and do it again. So the reality is just accommodating the changes from the government, making sure that the wording is correct and that we can follow through with what the government wants us to deal with.
All right. Any questions arising? All right, someone prepared to make that motion? Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council approves the proposed changes to the Tabor Municipal Police Commission policy manual as presented.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
On to item 7.2, weed control municipal inspector appointment. Mr. Tebow.
So I'll be speaking to this one with the absence of Chief Abella. So as described in the background document, municipal council is required to appoint a municipal inspector under the act to carry out the responsibilities created through this legislation for the municipality. So There's been a name put forward, which is in the recommendation, and outside of us being required to appoint someone, I don't know that I can answer any more questions, but I'm here if there is any.
All right, thank you, Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just had a question. Do we not have one of these people right now?
We do all the time, but when there's a new name that comes forward, it
Oh,
has
I
to, we
see.
have to actually speak the name in council and provide that approval.
Okay, thanks.
All right, relatively new change in that bylaw position, right? That's the basic, just behind this, or is it an annual requirement anyway?
Again, when a name comes forward, it's an annual thing that we would do if the name changes annually to appoint this person.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? Councillor Beckering?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Prepare to make a motion.
All right,
Mr. Mayor, I move that council appoints Constable William Wojtowicz of the Tabor Police Service under the Weed Control Act of Alberta as a municipal inspector for the town of Tabor to carry out this act and the regulations within the municipality.
all right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously, thank you. On to item 7.3, fire pump rebuilds. Mr. Tebow.
If I could call Chief Munshaw up, he'll go through this particular decision.
All right, Chief Munshaw.
Mayor and Council, thanks for having me on the table again. It's been a while. So I have some news. We've had a fire pump go through its annual testing, and through this annual testing, we've found filing and bearing pieces in the pump, which means that we have to get it rebuilt. It wasn't a proposed build in the operational budget, but we are able to take funds that we were able to get from this spring's fire of $101,000 that we earned, and have this pump rebuilt, which we're looking at about $21,000 to not achieve more than to have it rebuilt. This pump will be in our service for many years to come, so I think it would be a really good thing to have done, and also meeting the fire underwriters insurance for our community's insurance rating. I'm here for any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Munshaw? Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Chief, the pump has been rebuilt now. Is that correct?
No, it has not. We are getting it rebuilt. We're just going through the process, getting the quotes, getting the time, and then ordering the parts and pieces. So we're in the process of getting it rebuilt at this time. Well,
Thank you. Follow up.
Waiting, sure.
When do you anticipate that to be completed? Because it's kind of crucial. Isn't it?
about a week is when it's supposed to go in for the pump rebuild.
Okay, great. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That, which, you say engine 6.3, which one is that? It's not,
That is the newer of the two engines that we have. Engine 6.5 would be our oldest one, 1996. That's the one on the way out when we look at the new engines. So this
so
one
this
will be
this
replaced.
engine will have a few more, much
It
life.
should
is
have
left
about
in it.
10 to 15 years life within this community.
Yeah, no, that's good. Then I'm prepared to make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Very well.
I'll make the motion. Council approves rebuilding the fire pump on engine 6.3's cost not to exceed $21,000, excluding GST funded through the spring wildfire revenue.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, on to item 7.4, capital funding requests. Tabor Irrigation Water Supply. Mr. Tebow.
We'll have Mr. Chris Egan come forward and explain this one. I will point out a new acronym being the TPRA, which was now dubbed the the Trout Pond Recreation Area.
All right.
Good
All right,
afternoon,
thank you, Mr. Egan.
Mr. Mayor and Council. Before you is a request to approve a capital project which would take irrigation water, which is currently on the south side of Trout Pond Avenue, in a 10-inch line that the town constructed to replace the ditch. To bring that irrigation water north of the road and the bike path and create a turnout, which would then support the users, the off-leash dog park if they chose, to bring forth a capital project to do irrigation there. The future community garden, which is also before council today, Trail 77 skills track, and then whatever other amenities and items will be constructed on that quarter section of land north of the road. SMERD SMRID have committed to increase the water allocation and adjust the current document that it slips my mind now what the actual water rates lease that we have with SMRID for both the trout pond and expand it in its use and in the volume of water that would be allocated to support that 10-inch line that we'd bring across the road.
All right, thank you. Councilor Broom?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Memory serves me right, we had 160 acres of water rights on that quarter. There was already water on that piece of land before we filled the trout pond. So are they charging us for more water rights, or?
No, they're just changing the allocation.
Yeah.
So right now it's fixed as recreation land, and this would take it from recreation and specifically the trout pond and expand that definition, and then also change the number of cubic meters that they would allocate to us that would serve both the trout pond and that quarter section of land and all the facilities.
Yeah, because I do believe we had water rights for that whole quarter.
I don't know for sure, but I believe so. That was the the understanding I was left with after talking to SMRID.
Yeah, so that as long as there's no cost, they're not going to make us buy water rights.
No, there's no purchase of water rights.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Where are we bringing this across?
That hasn't been established yet,
Okay.
but I assume it will likely centered on that quarter section.
Right. Thank you.
Just to clarify, Mr. Egan, the water rights under the amount that they're suggesting, is that just a guesstimate on what will be allocated or allowed for future to cover the requests out there currently?
It'll be an incremental change to the existing amount that they allocate to us.
Okay, all right, so that's covered, there's no issues, not gonna be a cutoff that's gonna be a concern down the road.
No, there's no issues with volume.
Right,
And
okay.
there's no issue with the supply from them. It's really just documentation.
I see,
To make
okay.
sure that
Great, thank
their
you.
tallies work.
Councilor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, another question. Will this affect us, will this impact us watering our trees that we have just got the grant that we have for watering our trees around the trout pond?
No, this will actually just serve that
Just
quarter
that
section.
area, yeah. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
our allocation for the trout
Trout
pond
pond covers those.
should cover the
Okay,
the
thanks.
trees that we will plant around the trout pond.
All right, thank you. Councilor Beckering?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Egan, do you have any idea what volume, if you can put a 10-inch line from the south to the north across the road, and know exactly what that entails, and the $40,000 cost makes sense to me, but do you know, is there a full allocation of water to that quarter section, or is that?
As I understand it, it'll be an incremental allocation just to serve the uses along the north side of the road. If we choose to if for some reason we put a pivot in or develop that land to the north of the road and use irrigation water to irrigate parks and whatever, then we would simply go back to SMRID and ask for a change in the allocation again, and because we'd have to ask for a change in use as well. So same kind of process, but I don't believe that there's any issues. We're just using a 10-inch line so that the one-time costs of crossing the road, a good portion of it is the actual work and not going from a 4 to 6-inch line, which is all we really need. But putting a 10-inch line there matches, we tee off the existing, and it's just for future development and capacity for a minimal incremental cost.
Good, yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, thank you, Mr. Egan.
Thank you. All right, any other questions? So to make a motion, Councilor Broom?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor, that council approves the trout pond recreation area irrigation project in the amount of $40,000 with funding from capital reserves.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. On to item 7.5, community garden location and lease. Mr. Thibault.
Mr. Egan will come back and speak to the community garden.
Thank you, Your Worship and Council. The Community Garden Group has operated on private property just to the east of Barnwell and for many years. The owner of that land is selling that property, and it's about a 2-acre size of an operation. The group approached administration and asked for consideration about where a garden about the same size would be located. We've identified the 2.3-acre plot right at the gate of the trout pond. So it's between 2 CNRL leases, the Trout Pond Road and the fence to the Trout Pond area. So a pretty underutilized piece of property, but adjacent that fits with the intended use of that particular area and provides the space requested by the group. The group will bring power and irrigation water from our turnout to their site. To the garden site, they are going to be constructing a deer fence and drip irrigation system. They'll do preparation work, or the plan is they'll start to do preparation work this fall so that they can start planting next year. In the group has provided a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation that's included in your package that confirms that they produce with volunteers a substantial tonnage of food that both serves our food bank and then is distributed more broadly in southern Alberta. Also deals with the Tabor Safe Haven Women's Shelter and several other Lethbridge Community Services organizations. And there is no cost to the town for the development. We just request permission to enter into a 5-year lease with them, similar to what we've done with the off-leash dog park and the other uses, just to memorialize, I guess, the terms and conditions.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, Mr. Regan, this is a very, very good idea, and I think an excellent location. My only question would be, CNRL, I know there's a couple of pump jacks there. Have they been contacted? Are they okay with this?
They have. The group has been in contact with them, and they're not terribly worried about any surface disturbances. They're concerned about at-depth disturbances. So even the fence and the agricultural work that will be done on the site they've already agreed to, and that'll be formalized because we'll need to go through a development permit process, and they'll be contacted formally like we do anytime we're within 100 meters of one of their active wells, and they'll review it and give us their formal permission to do that kind of work around their facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, someone prepared to make a motion? Councillor Firth?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council approves the location of the community garden and directs administration to enter into a 5-year lease agreement for the indicated lands of the 4 acres plus or minus in the southwest corner of Meridian 4, Range 17, Township 10, Section 1.
Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Great. Thank you. All right, on to item 7.6, destruction of municipal documents. Mr. Tebow.
I believe Mr. John Orwa is going to come up and speak to this one.
Mr. Orwa.
Yes, His Worship and members of council, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Now, before you is a list of documents that are ready for destruction. The retention period is now over, and just following our bylaw there. So we need to keep at least retain 7 years worth of documents, 6 plus 1. So we're just asking for council approval before destruction.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Orva, what's this called? The destruction of evidence or hiding of evidence? What's this called?
None of the above.
Thank you.
Good answer. All right, any other questions rising? Someone prepared to make that required motion? Councillor McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that council approves the destruction of the documents identified in the attached list as per their retention period and years identified in Scheduled A of the bylaw number 10-99, retention of municipal documents.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.7, interim council member appointments. Mr. Tebow.
So I can speak to this one a little bit. We did have a request come our way from Tabor and District Housing with the departure of Councillor Rudd. These are all the council appointments that Councillor Rudd did hold. Administration was thinking maybe we could wait until our organizational meeting before we went through all of these, but there had been a request come in from Taber District Housing to have someone participate in their meetings. Now, I think their next meeting is in September. Our organizational meeting is typically the last meeting in October. So this is in front of council, speaking to all the spaces that are available for a council appointment. And we're leaving it up to council, of course, to have that discussion around what you may want to fill, what you may not want to fill. There's not a requirement to fill all 9 of these positions. So council can go through and talk about what they'd like to do with it.
All right, thank you. Just for council information, I did speak to one of the board members, and the reason for that letter was to ask, there's a variety of things going on with Taber District Housing, so that was their reason to ask to have somebody from our council represented. So they will be meeting twice before our organizational meetings, so September and October. So for anything I see there, I think that's the only thing that's really pressing. I think everything else can probably wait unless council has some other information or suggestions in that regard. Councillor Beckering?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it'd be wise if we would wait until our next organizational meeting. However, Taber District Housing is going through some fairly extensive negotiations or discussions regarding the project. And my question would be, previous to Council Rudd, who was the council member representative on Taber District Housing? Mr. Mayor, I strongly suggest that we appoint Councilor Firth, because she knows what's happening there more than any one of us.
Yeah,
I think.
no, that's fine with me. If you're okay with that, Councillor Firth, if you're comfortable with that, at least for the interim couple of months, and we can discuss that further at the organizational meeting if there needs to be changed that way as well. All right, thank you. Someone prepared to make that required motion? Councillor Beckering?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'll make a motion to appoint Council Firth to the Taber District Housing Foundation Board for a period until the next organizational meeting to be held in October of this year.
All right, thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. And just to confirm, everybody's comfortable with everything else, status quo currently until our organizational meeting, correct? Okay, great, thank you. All right, on to item 7.8, second quarter financial statements. Mr. Thibault.
Mr. Orwell will come up and present this one.
Thank you, Mr. Roy.
Thank you again, members of council. So before you is the second quarter financial statements, and I think we have some good news there. What we normally look at around this time is what we call the overall net financial assets. That is simply to say, if the town was to wind up, would the town be able to pay all its liabilities? And the answer is yes. So the rest normally I leave to the audit committee, because we covered a lot of facts to maybe.
All right, thank you. Well, myself and Councillor Beckering are present from the audit committee. Councillor Swords is not available, but Councillor Beckering, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Orwell. We had a meeting some time ago. It was a very good meeting. There was no sad faces around the table. It was excellent. Our revenue projections are quite a bit ahead of previous, as budgeted. And there's a couple of factors there. I think there's a big one there. Is our chief financial officer doing a heck of a good job regarding the town's surpluses and excess revenues for investment purposes. I think that's greatly exceeding any expectation we might have had. And I want to thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Beckering. I'd also like to reiterate this. We have no concerns. That was a very good meeting, and Mr. Roy, I appreciate all your information, yourself and Donna and your financial team. Always do a great job and make it very easy for us in the user-friendly format when any questions do arise that are not totally understood. But I believe we're in very good shape, and that's thanks to yourself, Mr. Roy, and your financial team. So thank you so much for that as well.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions arising? All right, no motion required. On to item 7.9, the Meadows Development Progress Reports. Mr. Thibault.
So as per usual, Mr. Bergen provides a report for council as to the activity out of the Meadows. On this one in particular, I wanted to point out that there was a mention of Lot 54 being sold at the time this report was provided, and financing actually didn't come through for those particular folks, and so there is only one lot sold, not two lots sold, as mentioned in this particular report. So other than that, just here for council's information.
All right, thank you. Any questions arising? None whatsoever. All right, no motion required on this item as well. Moving on to item 710, information for council. Mr. Tebow.
Okay. So this information item that I'm bringing forward, I wanted to acknowledge all staff today, administratively and operationally. Summer season brings a lot of activities, and it gets pretty busy. The town ramps up with, construction contracts, development activity, additional project work for staff, various summer events hosted by the town of Taber and ones that we assist with as well. The addition of summer staffing, covering vacation time, and on top of all that, all the regular daily workload that generally sees an overall increase over the summer months. I also wanted to mention that I understand how easy it is for people to get focused on things that aren't going as well as they could be and forget about all the things that are going just the way they should have. The town participates in a lot of activity and outputs, of which a small percentage doesn't go as smooth as is intended to. Please don't overlook all the activities and output that does go according to plan, or that didn't have a plan and was handled in the moment and turned out well. I'd like the staff members to be proud of what they've contributed to the town. Taber's premier event with the Chamber of Commerce is being prepared for as we speak. I'm confident that our staff will make this year's Cornfest a success. So again, I thank you for all the staff for the hard work and dedication that goes on in the town of Taber, and it isn't going unnoticed. Thanks.
All right, thank you. All right, good to know, Al. All right, so any other questions in that regards? Right, no motion required there. Moving on to department reports. I'll go through them individually. If you have any questions, please advise me accordingly. First off, administrative services reports. Economic development report. Councilor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just curious how the community engagement session went, and just an overview of the lunch and learn, and also the Taste of Taber, and how all those events have gone for us. If we could get just a review.
All right, Mr. Tebow.
Right, so economic development does fall under my area now. It used to be under Mr. Egan, which is why I saw you were looking that direction. He may have more information than I do. I'm not too sure. Amy's not here to speak to it herself directly, but I know the Taber Table event, it went very well from what I saw. I attended. I believe Mr. Mayor also attended that event. There was, I think, anticipated to be 120 seats there, and I think 109 tickets got sold. So, Councillor Firth was there too, just down the way from me. I think it was fantastic. I'll definitely speak in favor of that pork belly a second time. And the weather cooperated. You're always kind of concerned about the outside for those events. Other question was the lunch and learns. That's at the AEIP program related activity that you're speaking about.
Yeah, those who were interested in the AEIP, the employer lunch and learn.
Right. So that's still going quite well. There's still a lot of interest. We still have new businesses coming out. This being the first time they've heard of the program, and it's in full swing. There's a lot of activity going on, and other municipalities who are interested in acquiring our services. So those have been going very well. Anything AAIP related, those folks have been busy.
That's all right.
Also had the third one. You held your first community engagement session, so I was just wondering how that went too.
I didn't participate in the community engagement session, so I'd have to take that away and get that
Just
information.
curious to see kind of what the feedback was, if it was like well attended or not. I was just curious, that's all.
From what I recall, yes, it was well attended, and again, the workers, the employers around town seem to be generating a lot of their own questions, a lot of their own interest, and finding a lot of their own folks to bring to Tabor. So
That's
I
good.
believe
Yeah,
we
I was just
included the
curious to
reports.
see. That's all. Well, thank you. That's good.
All right, thank you. Moving on to Recreation and Planning Department, HR Department, Finance Department, Fire Department, CAO Department reports, Public Works and Facility Maintenance reports, and Public Works and Treatment Facilities report. Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment and a suggestion overall, if I may.
Sure, you bet.
At our last week meeting between the mayor and Mr. Thibault and myself to set the agenda, review the agenda for today, I mentioned that the department reports seem to be becoming longer and longer and longer, and it seems to me like it's addresses some stuff that, as a council, it's outside of our area of expertise, certainly, and also our area of responsibility. And I'm just wondering, I'm just throwing it out to the rest of council, whether or not we should perhaps ask for a more abbreviated department report, which just highlights those items which are pertinent to council responsibilities, rather than going through that. Because there's a lot of administrative work, I believe, to go through this stuff. You know what I mean? Why do I care if you're going to change a valve somewhere? I don't care. Yeah, because that's not my responsibility. So I'm just wondering if the rest of the council would think about that, and maybe at some future council meeting discuss it and see what happens. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any additional comments? Councillor Firth?
They are lengthy, but I actually appreciate the department reports because it gives me some insight into what our departments do. And you're right, it's not for us to interfere with it or to really even to comment on it, but I like to read through, and because it helps me to understand when issues come up, you know, which department that's in, if there's been mention of it in the reports leading up to it. Although your point about it taking a lot of administrative time is well taken. So if it is taking a lot of administrative time, then I would consider a more abbreviated version of the department reports. But if it doesn't take a lot of time, I do appreciate the detail that goes into it, and I actually do read it. I do.
All right, thank you. Councillor Bruin?
I'd have to agree with Councillor Firth. Sometimes it's the only way we get information about what is happening in town. So I really appreciate being able to read through it and seeing that things we've discussed earlier are being followed up on.
All right, thank you. And for me, yeah, it's always great information. I guess I would just ask if anybody from administration might look at a streamlined format. I think that's a better format, or is everybody comfortable with the status quo that way? Or yeah, Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In conjunction with that, of course, perhaps we could ask Mr. Thibault to, at the next meeting, fill us in what the staff say about this possible suggestion or not. I mean, I'm not totally saying we shouldn't have the department reports. Of course we should, but not so bloody long.
Well, it's thorough, so I guess, you know, that's a good thing. But yeah, I got to consider administration's time and any concerns they may have.
So I'll take that back to the group
Sure.
and report back to council as to
Okay.
how we feel about all that.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. No motion required for that. Moving on to mayor and council reports, item 712. Councillor Bruin, would you start with yourself, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended all the meetings I was able to attend, of course. I don't think I missed any. We discussed had a meeting with the MPC, Highway 3 Development Committee. We've been emailing back and forth some of our concerns there. And I'd like to say I attended the Cornstalk event. I know it wasn't a town event, but I attended it, and I was very impressed by how it was handled and how successful it was. I think hats off to the Spider Entertainment Group. What a professional job they did, and the number of people that event brought into Tabor was amazing. Like the stores downtown were busy, you could tell it was happening, and I think that was very well run, and looking forward to next year.
All right, thank you. Councillor Firth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, I didn't make it to the Cornstalk event, but I'm glad to hear that it went well. I attended Tim Hortons for their annual camp day and helped hand things out at the drive-thru, and I don't think I screwed anything up too badly. I also attended a Lunch and Learn webinar presented by Southgrow, a regional solution to housing supply, which was very interesting. I attended the Tabor's Table dinner and event, which was very well done. So I want to thank all the staff that were involved with that. I don't think it could have gone better than it did. So I hope that that's an event that continues to grow and to showcase our local producers and vendors. It was very well done. I also attended a Cornfest meeting. Cornfest, of course, is coming up this weekend. Thursday at 4 p.m. It kicks off with the parade. And as part of the Chamber and Cornfest Committee, I'd just like to reiterate a little bit about what Mr. Thibault said, how integral the town staff is as part of that. There's always comments that the Chamber really appreciates all that the town staff does, and that it would be very difficult to put on Cornfest and have it be as big and successful as it is without the help of the town staff, so thank you. And I wanted to say thank you to the 7 candidates that have put their names forward for our by-election that's coming up at the beginning of September. I was glad to see we had so many people interested in running. So good luck to all of them.
All right, thank you. Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended the meetings I was supposed to attend except for one, the Taban District Association meeting I missed. Regarding the Cornstalk, I did not attend because I'm too old. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I have too many young kids, so I couldn't attend either, unfortunately. But yeah, I attended all my meetings this month, and I don't really have much to report. It was a pretty quiet month, actually, for me.
All right, thank you. For myself, I had a variety of meetings I attended, as per usual, most months, as well as document signing requirements. I did attend the Cornstalk event. That was a very well attended and very well received event. Looked like fun was had by all. I did also attend the Tim Hortons Camp Day. That was a lot of fun and a great support for the kids going to camp, along with Councillor Firth. And I attended the Communities of Bloom Annual Barbecue, the Homestead Manor Barbecue, Knights of Columbus hosted, as well as the Tabor District Housing Foundation. Also attended the Senior Pro Rodeo Agriplex annual event. Some 200 competitors were part of that, and a very well done event, and very popular as well. I did attend the JEDC table event. That was very well done, and hats off to all involved with that, with a very well done collaborative event. As Mr. Thibault and Councillor Firth indicated, that was very well done and very well received as well. I attended the Peacekeepers Day celebration event at the Tabor Cenotaph, as well as the Norcrest Provincial Ball Tournament at Ken McDonald Park, with the 12 teams attending, and that was a full long weekend event as well, and very well done. I also attended the Seniors Pop-Up event with the sponsor of the FCSS at the Confederation Park. Very well attended for seniors, and a lot of fun had by all there. I attended the Coaldale Candy Parade and the Summerfest and all those festivities attached to that event. Very well done and very well attended event as well. I attended the media presentation at our administration building related to the 4-way collaborative effort for our community service unit this past Friday. And that's great to be part of that, and things are going well with that as well. Also attended the disco cook-off competition at the Parallel Church this past weekend there. And some 200 people took part in that, and that was very well done and very well received as well. With that, any questions on any of the Mayor and Council reports? No motions required, so moving on to item 713, standing item council requests. Mr. Thibault.
So these 3 standing items are still haunting the CAO, and they continue to be in progress. I believe we will have an answer for Councillor Firth's request, 136, that resolution. I don't know that we're ever going to land on an actual solution or answer, but there's definitely been some exploration take place, and that'll have a report come back for the next meeting. Outside of that, the other two remain in progress, and I'll hand it over to council if there's anything further.
All right. Councillor Bruin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just wondering if we could have an update on what's happening with extending, was it 44th Street up to 56? I believe it's 44th. What's happened with that, and also tying in with 50th?
So we've been trying to discuss things with the developer, and the developer has yet to get back to us about any of those items. I know administration has reached out numerous times, short of actually going to the developer's place of home or place of play. Well, we haven't been able to get a hold of him to do anything with us. So I don't really have anything to report on either end of that 43rd, I think it is 43rd equation.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions arising? Or any other standing item council requests whatsoever? All right, seeing none, I would just ask for motion to break until our 5 o'clock delegations attend. Councillor Beckerian. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. please. And on with our item 8, delegations, item 8.1, Family and Community Services, FCSS Youth Do Crew delegation. Mr. Tebow.
So I understand that Ms. Jillian Boyd will be presenting, and I think they're just waiting for a couple of the youth to
Okay.
arrive so they can come in and present together.
All right. Just a few minutes, we're expecting them, or they're in now? Okay. Hello, Jillian. Come on in. You're up. Yep. Ready to go. You bet. Welcome. You can either stand or sit, whichever you like. And Jillian, we just want to introduce yourself and or your two guests as well, please. Actually, just gotta push the button, the middle button. Yep, there you go.
Hello? Okay.
That works. All right.
Perfect. Okay, so my name is Jillian Boyd. I'm a youth development coordinator at Family and Community Support Services. This is Kennedy, and this is Lexi, and they are members of the Youth Do Crew here in Tabor. You guys have probably been in the group for about a year now. So,
All right, well, welcome, ladies.
yeah. So yeah, can we just get started, I guess?
Sure, absolutely.
Perfect. Awesome. So yes, like I said, I'm the Youth Development Coordinator at FCSS, accompanied by Lexi and Kennedy here. Yeah, and today we're here to just request approval and funding of $1,000 to construct and install a little free pantry here in Tabor. So just a little background what a little free pantry is. It's basically a small structure that's dedicated to combating food insecurity by allowing users to give what they can and take what they need. So it looks and works a lot like a little free library. However, it's intended to be filled with non-perishable food and hygiene items. So like diapers, soap, deodorant, that kind of thing, and non-perishables like cans and dried goods. So before we officially begin, I'll give also a little background about what the Youth Do Crew is for those who may have never heard of the program before. So it's a leadership development and volunteer program for youth ages 14 to 18, and it's been running for approximately 4 years now. So youth identify the social needs in their communities, and we lead service projects to address these needs from start to finish, such as a little free pantry. So we also frequently volunteer at local events, for example, the Tabor annual Easter egg hunt, which we actually had the opportunity to organize ourselves this past April. So the Youth Do Crew does operate in 5 of the 16 municipalities that FCSS serves, and we've actually successfully completed the Little Free Pantry project already on 2 separate occasions. So once in Nobleford and once in Coaldale. So around this time last year, both groups introduced the Little Free Pantries to their respective communities, and they've been maintaining them ever since. We found that both pantries are highly valued and have been really well utilized by the residents in these towns. And so yeah, this project success in these other communities, it makes us confident that it'll be successful in Tabor as well. So yeah, without further ado, we're gonna get into the who, where, when, and what, and why of this proposed project, starting with Lexi.
Hi, my name is Lexi, and I'll be discussing who would be involved in this project, as well as where we're proposing the Little Free Pantry be installed. Firstly, my father Clayton has generously offered to help us with the construction of the pantry. He would be able to build the initial structure of the pantry in our garage with the Youth Do Crew's assistance. The Youth Do Crew, which consists of 8 members in Tabor, will be in charge of checking on the pantry on a regular basis, including cleaning, repainting, and repairing if necessary, monitoring donations, and promoting and educating residents about the pantry and its purpose. We would also require the town of Tabor to install the posts of the pantry into the ground at a predetermined location. This brings me to the proposed location of the pantry. After prior discussion with Mayor Prokop, We believe that the new unnamed park that is currently being developed in the Parallel Church parking lot would be an ideal location. We chose this location as it is in a high traffic area close to Parallel Church and many businesses, giving the pantry increased exposure, which will hopefully encourage donations and deter vandalism.
You can probably use the one just in front of you also there, yeah.
Perfect.
You just drop that down, yeah. There you go.
Hello, Mayor Prokop and council members. My name's Kennedy, and I'll be discussing when we are proposing this project to take place and further explaining its purpose. We would like to acknowledge that with the colder month approaching, installing would either need to occur in the next couple months or in spring 2024 to ensure the ground isn't frozen. After discussing it over as a group, we believe that waiting until spring 2024 would allow for a greater time to construct the pantry and to begin promoting it. Additionally, residents are out and about in the spring and summer months, which will naturally help with the promotion of the pantry. Now moving into what the Little Free Pantry is and their purpose. The Little Free Pantry's primary goal is to combat food insecurity in the community. More specifically, it's a way for residents to help their other residents with food insecurity, which helps to build community self-capacity. The Little Free Pantry is not meant to replace the food bank, and that's not what we intend to do. Rather, its purpose is to work alongside the food bank as an emergency food support for residents who might need occasional support. It's a great resource for those who don't require the food bank but need a little bit of help once in a while, which is something that we are seeing a lot in the current economic climate. It's also very convenient for people wanting to donate non-perishables or toiletries that they don't want or aren't going to use.
So this project, not only does it benefit the community, but it also benefits the DO Crew as it provides them with an opportunity to develop their project planning skills. So when I worked with the Coaldale Youth DO Crew on this project, I noticed that their organization, teamwork, and public speaking skills greatly improved by the end. The Little Free Pantry is a way for youth to give back to their community for years to come while developing some valuable skills along the way. It is something that they can look back on with a sense of pride and ownership and can eventually get passed on to other youth to maintain. So yeah, like we said, it's a great supplementary resource to the food bank as it is available for 24 hours and it is completely anonymous. So it eliminates that client service provider boundary that we typically see with other food supports, which can help to reduce stigma and potential feelings of shame for those who need emergency food support. So yeah, we've given you a lot of information to think and discuss over, but just to reiterate, we are humbly asking the town's approval and funding of $1,000 to build and install Taber's very own Little Free Pantry. And yeah, thank you so much for allowing us to be here and presenting to you today.
All right, thank you so much for your presentation, ladies. Appreciate that very much. Councillor Beckering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your presentation, Jillian and the two young ladies. And I see Caitlin is hiding over there too. She's the big boss, you know. But just a question. I know Nobleford's had been in session for quite some time already, right?
Yeah.
And Nobleford is relatively, Coaldale is relatively new, correct?
Mm-hmm. They both, Coaldale's pantry was installed about a month after Nobleford's actually. Okay. So they've both been, I think Nobleford's been for about a year and Coaldale's been about for like 10 or 11 months now. Okay, so pretty similar, yeah, both about a year.
So anyway, my question is this, have you identified any abuse or vandalism at either of the pantries?
Yeah, so there definitely has been a little bit of that. I think it's kind of hard to avoid. So I know that the pantry, the Little Free Pantry itself in Coaldale did get egged actually at one point. I mean, our whole building did, but the pantry was unfortunately also a target. But I think that was kind of a one-off thing. Something similar also did happen in Nobleford where it did get vandalized, but there was kind of a community, the community was upset about it, you know, like they took to social media to say like, you know, like who did this? This is really disappointing. And it just shows that the community really values it and like the support that the community has for this project is a lot more than the people who are wanting to like kind of abuse it and, you know, ruin it for other people. But yeah, it definitely is something that we faced. I mean, when it got egged, we just cleaned it up, and it was actually like posted on like a Facebook group, like, thank you so much for the Dew Crew to cleaning this up. And just the fact that people are posting about it kind of deters people from vandalizing in the future. And we haven't seen anything since those first incidents.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Thank you. Any other questions arising? All right. And once again, thank you so much for your presentation. I understand Raymond's also got some of these, do they not?
Raymond,
Raymond?
yeah. So
Yeah.
we weren't involved in that, but Raymond,
Okay.
the town itself, has I think about like 4 or 5 little free pantries, and now they're
Okay.
building a whole like fresh produce shed. So
Right.
yeah,
So
they have
it's-
like different community partners.
So it's
that'll
branched
take
out quite a lot and gone over very well there as well there. So
Yes, yes.
okay. Well, I sure appreciate your presentation there, and I think it's got a lot of great merit and a benefit for our entire community area. So thank you so much for putting this together. Councillor Beckering.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Prepare to make a motion
Absolutely.
that council directs administration to fund the Family Community Support Services, FCSS, and the Youth Do Crew request in the amount of $1,000 for the Little Free Pantry project from the council discretionary fund.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? Councillor Bruin.
Should we include some staff time to install it in the motion? You're asking, you need someone for that?
Yeah, just to like actually install it into the ground, the
Yeah.
posts and stuff. We would need help from the town to do that.
All right. I guess
Friendly
we just ask administration. You're okay with that, Councillor Beckering?
Oh, sure.
All right. Did you want to have something specific for an amendment?
Yeah, that we also volunteer some of our staff to install the pantry.
All right. Thank you. Friendly amendment motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried now. This is great. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much.
Very well done.
Thank you. We're very excited. Yeah, of course. Thank you.
All right. On to item 8.2, Tabor Motorcycle Association request. Mr. Tebow.
Yes, not a counselor yet, sir. I don't know if I'm going to mess up the last name or not. Shelley, is it Keltgen? Colchin? Is here is here to present. I know other people know her, but I don't know her name well enough. So if you could step forward and present for us, please.
All right. Thank you. Well, welcome, Shelley.
Thank you. Yeah. You'll hear that in my little speech here that I just happened to prepare on the way home from a motocross race in Lloydminster yesterday. Took my grandkids and my son up there for the weekend. All I heard is good things about the Tabor track from our race this year, so just had to find my stuff. So good afternoon. As all of you may know, my name is Shelley Colgin, and I'm president of the Tabor Motorcycle Association. I'm not new to coming to council. Well, this is the second time. So last year, you guys, we did put in power, and we installed a speaker system so that I'm sure you can hear it back in Tabor now because everybody said it was great. I was at the one in Lloyd yesterday, you couldn't hear anything, so it was really nice to have ours up and running. So last year I approached the town and the MD for funding to help put the power into the motocross track, which we did, and it's been amazing. So thank you for that. The next thing we needed is water. Like between the gun club and the motocross track, there is no water this year. We hauled in, I can't even remember, 128 cubes into our tanks out at the track for the race, just so that we could keep the track water, the dust down, and people were safe riding. So that was Tim's Water Hauling actually donated the truck and the manual labor for the guy to haul and deliver the water to the track. So I have approached the gun club, the MD, now you, and the motocross track. I have an estimate for approximately $20,000 to drill a well by our pond that we have out there, because we can't make the pond any bigger, because we'll have to go through environmental and all kinds of stuff. So rather than do that, we thought we'd ask permission and help to drill a well on site. I'm not sure how deep he'll have to go. He gave me a proposal, 15,000 to 20,000. So I thought if each 5 of us put in $5,000, that would cover the cost of the well. Plus we need the downhole pump and probably a shack on top to keep it from freezing or whatever we need to do. So we do have members in place that are willing to help and do whatever. The gentleman's out of Lethbridge, I believe, that gave us the quote on the well, but I'm new to wells. So, but we just can't continue hauling water in, and our dugout holds nothing, and the sprinkler behind, or the pivot behind, has the town water, treated water, but sewer water, so we weren't allowed to use that. So, which would have been pretty easy to dig over and fill the pond. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So what I'm asking today is approval for a well at the track that the gun club and the motocross track will share. We can drill, and the power is at the gun club, so we can pull it over, so we can put an electric pump into the well. They have three-phase power there, and we do, but it's back at our shack, so it's a little further to dig across. So anyway, that way we can get the well, keep water. We have 4 tanks that we're setting up properly, so they won't slide into the pond or anything. And yeah, that's what I'm asking for today. I said I was gonna beg, but I won't beg. I'll just ask nicely.
All right, thank you, Shelley. Councillor Bickering.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks for the presentation, Shelley. The MD has already approved $5,000,
Yes.
I believe.
Yes,
How about the
I
gun
have.
club?
I am going to their meeting on Thursday. They have discussed it previous, and they're all in favor because they really need water, because their berms are blowing because of no grass and stuff growing on their berms, so they're losing a lot of their soil out there. And I've talked to the president of the gun club, a couple of the members, and they're all in favor of it. So
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. But a follow-up on that.
Sure, you bet.
Generally speaking, Shelley, when a council gives a monetary amount
Yep.
to an organization like
Yep.
yours,
Yep.
we'd like to know your financial status.
Yep.
What kind of money you got?
So right now we have, because we did so good at our motocross race, we have $40,000 in our bank account. We have still bathrooms, because we went out and we collected just about $12,000 in donations for our race this year. And we had 230 riders on the Saturday and 232 on the Sunday, which donated us $30 per rider into our fund. So that's why we have so much money right now. So we're willing to spend more, but we just figured if everybody helped, because let's face it, there's no water out there at all. And we're trying to get trees growing and shelter belts and stuff, but I'm pretty sure all those 185 trees we planted this year probably all died because there was no water. We watered them when we took the water truck past, but once a week just doesn't quite cut it. So with new trees, so And I'm watering big trees up top with buckets to try and keep them alive. So,
All right.
anyway.
Thank you. Councilor Broom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think this is a fantastic thing to do. The amount of people that come to your track and use your track is helps the town of Taber with all, accommodations and everything. It brings a lot of people into the area. And I heard nothing but great things about your last event. That it was one of the best tracks, I think, in the area, Alberta. So you guys have done a lot of work there, and it looks great. So I'd like to make a motion that council supports the Taber Motorcycle Association's request for installation of a well at the motocross track located on a portion of Northeast 2610-17 west of the 4th of town-owned leased land, and authorizes the amount of $5,000 to be taken from the council discretionary fund.
All right. Thank you. Motion on the table. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried unanimously. Great. Thank you, Shelley.
So I would just like to, just one thing.
No,
it's
that's okay.
good. So September 9th, we are having our wind up motocross supper. We supply everything. If any of you or all of you would like to come, we'd like to show you our facility. So, could be. I'm not saying yes or no. So anyways, so September 9th, 6:30 or 5:30 at the motocross track. We just have it in our little building. You can come see. This is one of the prizes we're giving out this year. I just got it today, so. But I would like to extend an open invitation to any of you to come and check out our facility.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Shelley. I appreciate that very much.
Your mistake was you asked permission to dig that dugout first.
I did. I asked permission. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. Moving on to item 9, media inquiries. Mr. Thibault.
None.
None. Okay. Perfect.
I was like, oh, there is actually.
Thought as much. Yeah. All right. With that, it's asked for a motion to move into closed session, please. Councilor McLean. Motion on the table. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you.